Hello. Today I want to talk to you more about the war that I spoke of last time on Planet Debate and how it is that we can actually go about unifying the opposition. Those groups that have been resisting for the last 10 years through individual arguments, for the last 20 years through critical arguments, have consumed a huge and increasingly wonderful volume of literature about political change and about political theory, but none of it has been applied to the community. It's no wonder that the critiquers, or that the people who criticize those who have made a critical turn in policy debate question the solvency mechanisms that these critiques offer, because 20 years into the critical turn in this community, we've failed so far to do anything to articulate any meaningful change within this community. We haven't solved the structural problems we speak of. We've merely created niches for ourselves to exist in a world of individual Woodstock-style resistance. Now, this Woodstock-style individual liberation is no doubt good, and it has allowed the debate activity to be more useful to more people. But it's not enough. We haven't transformed our community. We haven't achieved the goal of a multicultural debate community. We haven't achieved the goal of a community where oppressive argumentation is not legitimated and not endorsed. We haven't achieved the goal of transcending competition and fusing it with education and politics in order to make a more just future. We've simply gotten seats at the table for ourselves by playing a game that allows us to use the knowledge that should be transformative to the community for our own personal gain. That benefits the community that we say we oppose. That turns all of our framework arguments, and not just ours. I'm not speaking generally of any teams that I work with, but I'm speaking of all of those people who are on one side of the war of civilizations within debate, who have mobilized critical and revolutionary political theory and argumentation simply for the purpose of winning debate rounds at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that the individuals haven't been transformed, but if we haven't made the structural transformations in the game and in the community and in the way that we look at competition and politics, there's probably something to the notion that we're not solving right now. Now, that individual resistance without actual community change, like I said before, is the politics of Woodstock. It's the politics of personal liberation. It's not the politics of the civil rights movement that we often talk about, nor is it the politics of community organizing. It is simply the politics of being able to drop in, or to tune in and drop out, or whatever the 60s saying is. I'm more down for the sayings that talk about how we need to organize and unify in order to change things, and to use this space as a productive place in order to make that change. The second thing is that all of our efforts to break the glass ceiling of quarters or of octos or of qualifying for the NDT for different teams or critical teams or performance teams or whatever it is. All of these efforts, if they're not unified, are going to fail. I was watching Beautiful Mind last night, and he has this equilibrium theory where the beautiful woman walks into the bar and he suggests that it's not the beautiful woman who you should pursue, but everybody should pursue the friend. Aside from the point of the reference, I think the equilibrium theory might be apt here, as we all pursue that first round bidder to pursue the process of trying to be the best critical team. What we do is we legitimate that glass ceiling in our effort to break it, instead of working collectively to achieve the transformative goals we say we can achieve out of debate. So I think that we need to work together, and I'll get more into that in the solution sketch, but we need to look toward an equilibrium of community change as opposed toward an equilibrium of individual advancement, because that atomization of the critical resistance is exactly what needs to happen for us to be kept as a nested enclave within a discipline that we all say we're opposing. The third is that the lack of unity that we've had over the last 20 years has meant that we've had little to no structural impact on the world of high school, middle school debate, nor on the world of policymaking. I think that both sides overclaim in the world of policymaking how much impact they actually have. The people who defend the policymaking paradigm say that it's key to democracy, etc., etc. The people who are on the other side agree with that claim and say we need to reharness it. Neither of them are making solvency claims to point out who it is that's actually achieving those goals that they say. Everybody says they know a good organizer on the left who's come out of debate with great skills, but the question is, how is debate organized? Before we start looking outside of that, we should start looking looking at what we've been able to do with access to these arguments and literatures and pedagogies within the topic. And the final thing is that we don't have a unified pedagogy. If you want to start a new debate program, or you want to go and you want to challenge the status quo, there are a lot of avenues of insurgency available to you, but there are very little models of pedagogy that go beyond the insurgency and go toward what the world looks like afterwards, which means that as a fractured opposition, there's very little that we can do anything to change the structure of the community, and we're simply operating parasitically within a parasitic community so that we can play in that community. Now, it's nice to have a seat at the table, no doubt, and there's no doubt a place for this argument in the world of elite academic argumentation, and it is helpful. I'm not discounting the solvency of it. I'm questioning why it is that we're truncated in our solvency and why it is that we can't go beyond that. What needs to happen now is that we need to unify along a few lines in order to create some change in this. The first is the topic process. We have to figure out how it is that we want topics to work. If we don't like the kind of topics that we have to debate right now because we don't think they're the most educational debates, then we should come together with an alternative. Instead of 100 different people breaking the rules in different ways, which no doubt delegitimizes the rules, we should now take that space that we've secured and liberated from the topic process in debates and work together to find something in common that we can agree on, that we can put as a common topic, and at least we can then use the legitimacy of a bunch of people sanctioning it to actually challenge the topic process as it's currently constructed. The second thing is we need to have a vision of what we want debate to look like. We need to have something that we can give to high school coaches, to middle school coaches, to UDL directors, to program directors, to new college programs that say this is what we think debate should look like in the era after switch side debate. We talked last time about how switch side debate has died, and it has, but no one has put forth an alternative yet, so we continue to exist in a dead theory. And the notion that the theory can't die, that a theory like switch side debate can't die, is exactly what turns it into ideology and what turns it into hegemony. Any theory that can't die is a theory that is structured solely for ideology and can't resist its own contradictions. Now, if we can't articulate a vision of at least a few things that we want, or we can't work together on shared work in order to make those things happen, then we're never going to change the way that the community structures itself, nor are we going to change the way that the knowledge production structures itself. We'll only continue to open up more avenues for sort of existing as a nested enclave within an enclave deliberative community. The third thing is we need an expanded notion of community. We need to stop seeing debate as a cool thing that's open to a few people who want to do it, but we need to see our debate community as our campus and as our community and as where we live. And then when we start looking at it that way, we realize that we don't necessarily have a democratic approach to community right now, that we allow a few elites, just like in the broadcast, just like in the academic world, to control what it is that gets broadcast because they get to determine what community is. We need to stop determining community based on who wants to participate and based on who should be participating. We need to stop seeing debate as a fun activity that some people can enjoy from time to time and start seeing it as a service that's provided as part of an educational and democratic structure. Until we can do that, until we can begin to see it beyond its current notion of community, we're always going to lose democratic battles because most people are not like those who stick around and fight. Most people who don't like it or aren't attracted to it or see through its guise of liberal democracy leave. Now, we need to see how those people are part of the community. We need to expand our debate community. We need to do it together. We need the theory and the application to begin to expand our debate communities through our campuses, through our physical and geographical communities, and stop defining community as a group of people who want to do something together on weekends. We also need a public sphere. Sorry, I was checking out the notes. But we also need a public sphere, a place in debate where we can do things like this, where we can hash out ideas that we agree on, where we can work on collective projects. We need to have our own public sphere because right now is all we're doing is fighting for access to the other side's public sphere, and we need to move beyond that. And finally, all of this comes together with the notion of working together with teaching new people a new kind of debate. We can expand this game to be what it truly promises to be, and we can make it about social justice, and it's vulnerable because if we could develop a platform that reached out to hundreds and hundreds of people, we could move beyond the Woodstock politics of the status quo, but we have to work together to do it. We have to have a public sphere, we have to have a unified goal, and we have to have a pedagogy of resistance. This doesn't mean that we have to unify with everybody and that we have to look and we have to say that unity by itself is good, but we should agree amongst those of us who are working on the critical insurgency that's been going on for the last 20 years what we want the world to look like afterwards, because guess what? We've won. We've destroyed switch side debate. Now we need to build the alternative, and we need to do it together, or we will continue to exist in a world adrift and be cast by the neocons. Thank you.